They don't want you to know this. Have you ever felt like some people have access to an invisible shortcut? A secret so powerful it turns dreams into reality, while the rest of us tirelessly struggle for results. Today, you are about to uncover something that has been carefully guarded for centuries. But be warned, this information isn't for everyone. Only those courageous enough to challenge their beliefs and embrace a new truth will be able to harness this knowledge. Imagine for a moment, what if humanity's greatest achievements, from the most revolutionary inventions to the most inspiring triumphs, weren't driven by luck, effort, or inheritance? There's a hidden element, something far more powerful, the ability to turn thoughts into reality. Finding this video wasn't a coincidence. What you're about to hear could forever change the way you live, work, and dream. It's not just words, it's a proven method. A tool capable of unlocking potential you didn't even know you had. Now, before we continue, repeat after me. I am ready to unlock my true potential and transform my life today. If that resonated with you, subscribe to the channel now and hit the notification bell, because what's coming next is the missing piece you need to start your transformation. Imagine a 57-year-old woman named Helena. After a lifetime full of challenges, hard work, and financial struggles, she achieved something that seemed impossible. She completely transformed her reality and manifested $4.8 million into her life. Helena had no obvious advantage. She didn't win the lottery, inherit a fortune, or have powerful connections to open doors for her. Yet, in less than 2 years, everything changed. But the most impressive part isn't what she achieved, it's how she achieved it. Now let me pause and ask, have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, the result never seems to match your expectations? That there's an invisible barrier keeping you from achieving what you want? Or maybe you've seen people who seem to get everything effortlessly and wondered, what do they have that I don't? Helena felt the same way. For years, she believed her life was just a series of events beyond her control. But in a moment of absolute frustration, something changed. She made the decision to try something completely different, something that, until then, seemed more like a myth than a truth. And this is where her story becomes fascinating, because the method she used wasn't complex, expensive, or inaccessible. In fact, it's something anyone can do, and that, interestingly, is already active in all our lives, even if we don't realize it. The difference lies in how you use it. Helena explains that the turning point began when she decided to break the cycle of negative thoughts and limiting beliefs she had carried for years. You've heard of limiting beliefs, right? Those phrases we repeat to ourselves, often without realizing it. I'm not capable. This isn't for me. Life is unfair. Human psychology shows us that these beliefs shape how we see the world. They create filters that distort reality, making you focus more on problems than possibilities. Helena realized that as long as she remained trapped in these mental patterns, her reality would never change. So, she started with a simple but powerful exercise, reprogramming her mind. Using techniques involving neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize and form new connections, she began replacing limiting thoughts with positive affirmations and clear visions of what she wanted to achieve. Why does this work? Did you know the human brain doesn't distinguish between imagination and reality? Studies show that intensely and repeatedly visualizing something activates the same brain areas that would be triggered if you were actually experiencing it. This is why professional athletes use visualization as part of their training, to teach the brain what it needs to do at the decisive moment. Helena applied this to her life. Every morning before starting her day and every night before going to sleep, she dedicated a few minutes to visualizing the life she wanted. It wasn't just a vague image in her mind. She allowed herself to feel what it would be like to live that reality, to feel the emotion, relief, and happiness. This practice didn't just change how she thought, but also how she acted. Neuroscience explains that when you focus on something repeatedly, you create a state of selective awareness. In other words, your brain starts paying more attention to opportunities and paths that bring you closer to your goal. Helena describes her transformation as an awakening, but here's the crucial point. She never believed this process was exclusive to her. On the contrary, she insists that anyone can do the same, as long as they're willing to change how they think, feel, and act. If you're watching this video, you probably feel like there's something more waiting for you. Something that seems just out of reach, but deep down, you know it can be achieved. Helena's story is living proof that it's possible. But there's an important detail. Her method doesn't work for those who remain trapped in pessimism and doubt. You must let go of old beliefs, the stories you tell yourself about your limitations. As a famous thinker once said, whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. Helena made a simple but powerful decision to believe, and that choice was the first step in a journey that transformed not only her financial life, but also her relationship with the world and herself. At the end of this video, we'll reveal exactly what she did, step by step. But for now, ask yourself, what's holding you back from taking the next step? You've probably heard the phrase, the mind is the architect of reality. While it may sound philosophical, this idea has a solid scientific foundation. What you think, feel, and believe not only influences your choices, but literally shapes your life experience. This is what separates those who thrive from those who merely survive. Helena discovered this principle when she began to understand how her mind worked on a deeper level. She realized that her thoughts were acting like anchors, pulling her down, and that changing this wasn't just about thinking positively. It required much more. Now, let's get to the central concept, the power of neuroplasticity and vibrational energy. In the 1990s, scientists discovered something fascinating about the human brain. It's like a muscle, capable of reorganizing and creating new connections, even in adulthood. This means that by repeating a behavior or thought, you're literally training your brain to become stronger and more effective in that pattern. On the other hand, if you reinforce negative thoughts or limiting beliefs, you're strengthening those same neural networks. It's like watering a plant you don't want in your garden. This realization was a game changer for Helena, who began consciously turning off the mental circuits that kept her stuck in fear and scarcity. But how exactly did she do it? Helena used a combination of visualizations and affirmations. Each morning, she allowed herself to create a detailed mental scenario of what she wanted. She didn't just imagine it, she felt it. For example, if her goal was financial security, she visualized a specific moment. The bank statement, the sense of relief when paying bills with ease, the joy of being able to help her family. She engaged all her senses in this practice. And here's the most interesting part. When you do this consistently, your brain starts interpreting these scenarios as memories. It begins treating them as if they're real, activating areas linked to motivation and action. That's why tangible changes start to happen. Now let's go beyond science. Helena also delved into the concept of vibrational energy. The idea, based on principles of quantum physics and spirituality, is that everything in the universe, including you, vibrates at a specific frequency. Your thoughts and emotions determine this frequency. When you're stuck in feelings of fear, anger, or scarcity, your vibration is low. This creates a sort of barrier that blocks the flow of positive opportunities and experiences. Conversely, emotions like gratitude, love, and joy raise your frequency, turning you into a magnet for what you desire. Helena adopted the practice of gratitude to raise her vibration. Every day, she wrote down at least 3 things she was grateful for. even if they were small. A good cup of coffee in the morning, an unexpected smile, the simple fact of being alive. This simple but powerful practice shifted her perspective. Think of your mind as an architect and your life as a building under construction. Every thought you repeat is like a brick being placed in that structure. If you constantly think of failure, doubt, and fear, you're building a structure that will never be stable. On the other hand, if you choose thoughts of confidence, gratitude, and determination, you're creating something solid and lasting. Helena's secret was understanding that to change the outcome, she had to start at the foundation, her thoughts and emotions. Before we continue, I want to propose something simple. Close your eyes for 10 seconds and imagine something you deeply desire. It could be financial success, a harmonious relationship, or a more peaceful life. Now ask yourself, what would it feel like if this were already a reality? What would you feel? What would your posture, facial expression, and breathing be like? What would be the first thought that crossed your mind when you woke up? This is the first step to reprogramming your mind. By doing this daily, you begin to create new neural connections, new emotional patterns, and consequently, new opportunities. Helena transformed her life because she understood that external reality is a reflection of internal reality, and science backs her up. What you think and feel forms the foundation of what you create. In the next segment, we'll dive deeper into her story, showing how she used these techniques to manifest her goals. But before that, take a moment and ask yourself, what kind of architect do I want to be for my own life? Helena was never the kind of person who believed in miracles. For most of her life, she followed the conventional script: hard work, strict budgeting, and the hope that someday things would improve. At 57, she looked back and felt like her life had been a series of lost battles, a difficult divorce, mounting debts, and the constant sense that no matter how hard she tried, it was never enough. But one day, something changed. She heard, almost by chance, a simple yet powerful concept. Your mind is like a transmitter, constantly sending signals to the universe. It intrigued her. At first, it seemed like a nice idea, but Helena was too practical to be easily swayed. However, there was something about it she couldn't shake, and in that moment of frustration, she decided to try it. After all, what did she have to lose? The process started with something simple. Every night before going to bed, Helena would lie down and close her eyes. Instead of thinking about the bills she had to pay or the worries of the next day, she allowed herself to imagine what her ideal life would look like. She started small. She visualized a very specific moment, the day all her debts would be paid off. In her mind, she walked into the bank, looked at the manager, and heard the words, "Helena, you are officially free of all financial obligations." But she didn't just visualize it, she felt it. She tried to imagine the lightness on her shoulders, the smile on her face, the steady breath of relief that would accompany that moment. And day by day, this small exercise began to gain momentum. Helena knew that for years she had carried a negative emotional burden. Whenever she thought about money, she felt fear and insecurity. So, she made a crucial decision: to reprogram how she felt about it. Whenever worry arose, she consciously replaced the thought with gratitude. Instead of complaining about bills, she thanked the universe for having a roof over her head and food on the table. Instead of feeling pressured by work, she expressed gratitude for the opportunity to learn something new each day. This process wasn't easy at first. With every negative thought, Helena had to redirect her mind, like exercising a muscle for the first time. But gradually, she noticed her mindset was changing. Over time, Helena observed that things began to flow differently. First, she reconnected with an old friend who introduced her to an unexpected job opportunity. Then, a client who owed her money decided to pay her back in full with interest. It was as if small puzzle pieces were falling into place. and she was finally beginning to see the bigger picture. 2 years after starting this process, Helena achieved a milestone that once seemed impossible. She had $4.8 million in her bank account, more than enough to secure her financial stability and fulfill all the dreams that once felt out of reach. The most important part of Helena's story isn't the money she earned, but how she got there. The method she used didn't require special tools, expensive courses, or inaccessible secrets. It was something anyone could do, shifting her mindset and aligning her thoughts, emotions, and actions with her goals. But here's the main point. Helena didn't achieve this simply by thinking positively. She combined vivid emotional visualizations, reprogramming of limiting beliefs, and consistent actions that reflected her new state of mind. Stories like Helena's are powerful because they remind us that extraordinary changes are possible, even in the most challenging circumstances. They ignite something within us, a spark of hope, the idea that maybe, just maybe, there's something we too can do to transform our reality. But it's not enough to hear inspiring stories. The real power lies in using them as fuel for your own journey. In the next segment, we'll explore the scientific and spiritual principles behind stories like Helena's. We'll understand how neuroscience and vibrational energy work together to turn desires into reality. In the meantime, reflect. What is your first visualization? What is that one moment that, if it happened, would make you feel like your life had finally changed? Have you ever stopped to think about how small adjustments in the way you think can completely change the course of your life? The secret that transformed Helena's life is more than a spiritual concept. It's an intersection of science, psychology, and energy. And once you understand how these forces work together, your perspective on life will never be the same. The human brain is an extraordinary machine, capable of processing billions of pieces of information per second. However, much of what it does is automatic, operating based on patterns we've created over time, whether good or bad. This phenomenon is explained by neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reorganize its neural circuits through repetition. If you constantly repeat negative thoughts, such as, "I can never succeed," "life is hard," or "this isn't for me," you're literally engraving these ideas into the fabric of your brain. These neural networks grow stronger, and your behavior inevitably follows that direction. But the reverse is also true. When you begin focusing on thoughts of possibility, abundance, and gratitude, you create new neural connections that redefine how you perceive the world. It's not magic, it's biology. The brain, interpreting these new patterns as real, activates areas linked to motivation and action. If science explains the how, spirituality explains the why. Everything in the universe is energy, from the atoms that make up your body to the farthest stars. This energy is not static. It vibrates at specific frequencies, and quantum science shows us that similar frequencies attract each other. When you're in a state of low vibration, dominated by emotions like fear, doubt, or anger, your energy creates a field that repels opportunities and positive experiences. It's like trying to tune a radio to the wrong station. You can't hear the music you want. On the other hand, when you raise your vibration with emotions like love, gratitude, and enthusiasm, you align yourself with the flow of abundance around you. Helena called this being in rhythm with the universe. She said that when she began to align with this state, things started to happen with a naturalness that once seemed impossible. Helena's core practice was simple: visualization with emotional intent. She followed a 3-step process that anyone can replicate. Clarity. Before closing her eyes, Helena defined exactly what she wanted. She knew it was pointless to say, "I want to be happy," or "I want more money." These are vague ideas. Instead, she visualized concrete scenarios. the exact amount she wanted in her bank account, the type of house she wanted to live in, and the experiences she wanted to have. Sensations. During the visualization, Helena allowed herself to feel what it would be like to live that reality. She described the process as stepping into a movie where I'm the protagonist. It wasn't enough to imagine. She needed to feel the smells, hear the sounds, and experience the emotions of that moment. Anticipatory gratitude. Helena ended each session by expressing gratitude as if she had already received what she desired. This practice not only raised her vibration, but also solidified her belief that what she visualized was already part of her life. Quantum physics suggests that our intentions have the power to influence the world around us. In experiments like the famous observer effect, scientists discovered that the mere act of observing subatomic particles changes their behavior. This indicates that human consciousness has a direct impact on matter. While these concepts might seem complex, their application is incredibly simple. What you focus on expands. If you focus on problems, they grow. If you focus on solutions and possibilities, they start to appear. Helena's practice was daily, but she began with just 10 minutes a day. In the morning and before bed, she would sit in a quiet place, close her eyes, and follow the 3 steps of clarity, sensation, and gratitude. Now think, how could you implement this into your routine? Perhaps start small, like visualizing success in a specific project or attracting a desired opportunity. The key is consistency. Take a moment to reflect. What would your life look like if you truly believed you could shape your reality? What impact would it have to know that your thoughts and emotions are not just reactions to the world, but forces that create what happens within it? In the next segment, we'll talk about the 7 specific words Helena used to anchor her practice. Words that, according to her, have the power to resonate deeply with the universe and accelerate any manifestation process. Helena said that, among all the practices she adopted, there was one tool that acted as a catalyst for her transformation. 7 specific words that she repeated daily, like a mantra. These words, according to her, weren't magical on their own, but held extraordinary power because they directly connected to her energy, intention, and belief. Before revealing these words, consider this. Why do we repeat mantras, affirmations, or even inspiring phrases? Human psychology shows us that words carry emotional weight. They're not just sounds. They shape thoughts, create feelings, and influence actions. And the impact of words extends far beyond the conscious mind. When you say something repeatedly, especially with emotion, your subconscious begins to absorb that message as an absolute truth. That's why Helena believed that the words we choose and how we use them have the power to align our energy with our deepest desires. The 7 words Helena chose weren't complex. On the contrary, they were incredibly simple, but each had a clear purpose. Before using these words, she would spend a few minutes in silence, breathing deeply and calming her mind. This moment of preparation was essential. Science explains that when you are in a calm and receptive state, your brain enters alpha waves, an ideal state for absorbing new ideas and mental reprogramming. Then Helena repeated the 7 words with intention and feeling. She allowed herself to feel the meaning of each one, as if she were already living the reality she desired. The words Helena chose represented gratitude, worthiness, and trust. They weren't just a reflection of what she wanted, but an affirmation that she had already received it. For example, when she said, "I am abundance," it wasn't a vague declaration. It was an affirmation filled with emotional weight. She saw herself as someone already living in abundance, and more importantly, someone who deserved it. Now, before revealing the 7 words, take a moment to pause and reflect. What would you like to affirm about your own life? What would it feel like to choose words that resonate with the deepest desires of your heart? Why 7? The choice of 7 wasn't random. In psychology, the number 7 is often associated with completeness and perfection. For example, our short-term memory is optimized to process about 7 items at a time. This is why many phone numbers have 7 digits. Helena believed that by using 7 words, she was creating a complete sequence of intention and vibration capable of resonating on multiple levels. She repeated these words at strategic moments, first thing in the morning when her subconscious was still in a receptive state, and at night before going to bed. She understood these were the times when the mind was most open to suggestions, functioning like a sponge for new ideas. Additionally, daily repetition transformed these words into beliefs. Think about it. Have you noticed how ideas we hear repeatedly often become our truth, even if they're not based on facts? That's the power of repetition. The 7 words. Now we've reached the moment to discover what these words were. Each one was carefully chosen by Helena to reflect gratitude, personal power, and trust in the universe. The words were, I am grateful, I am abundance, I am worthy, I am enough, I am love, I am light, I'm prosperous. These words may seem simple, but their impact lies in how they're used. When repeated with intention and emotion, they become more than phrases. They become living truths, capable of reprogramming your mind and aligning your energy with what you desire. Now that you know these words, here's an exercise for you. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and slowly repeat each one, feeling the weight of its meaning. Imagine that you already embody everything you're affirming. Using these words in your daily routine. Knowing the 7 words is a big step, but how can you integrate them into your life in a way that truly creates impact? This was one of Helena's great realizations. It wasn't enough to repeat the words mechanically, without intention. They needed to become part of her daily routine, combined with specific practices that amplified her vibration and focus. Let's explore how you can do the same. Helena often said the key to using the words effectively was in the when and the how. She reserved 2 specific times of day for her practice. In the morning, upon waking when your brain is still in its natural alpha state, relaxed, receptive, and ideal for absorbing new ideas. Before bedtime. At this time, your subconscious is more accessible as your body prepares for rest. These 2 periods are the perfect windows to shape your thoughts and emotions without the distractions of daily life. Helena's ritual and how to adapt it. Helena's practice went beyond mere repetition. Here's how you can adapt it. Find a quiet place. Set aside a space in your home where you can sit comfortably without interruptions. Helena called this a protective energy zone. Posture and breathing. Sit with your spine straight, feet touching the floor, and hands resting on your knees or folded in your lap. Before beginning, take 3 deep breaths, inhaling through your nose and exhaling slowly through your mouth. This breathing calms the mind and brings focus to the present moment. Repetition with intention. Repeat each of the 7 words slowly, but not as a mechanical task. Connect emotionally with the meaning of each word. For instance, when saying, I am grateful, visualize moments in your life for which you are truly grateful, no matter how small they are. When saying, I am abundance, imagine what it would feel like to live a life of total abundance, financially, emotionally, and spiritually. Incorporate sensations. As you repeat the words, ask yourself, what would my life be like if this were already true? Imagine the emotions you would feel, the actions you would take, and the kind of person you would become. Final gratitude. When you finish the 7 words, silently express gratitude for everything you already have and for what is yet to come. This final step is essential as it raises your vibration and seals the practice on a positive note. Additional techniques to enhance the effectiveness of the words. Helena incorporated other techniques to amplify the impact of the words. Morning writing. After repeating the words, Helena would take a notebook and write a sentence related to each one, such as, "I'm grateful for everything I already have in my life. Abundance flows to me from all directions." This writing practice reinforced her intention and created a deeper commitment to the process. Guided visualization. Helena spent 5 minutes visualizing a specific scene related to the words she repeated. For instance, when affirming, "I am prosperous," she imagined an ideal day, checks being signed, debts being cleared, and even leisure moments symbolizing her prosperity. Spoken declarations. In the afternoon, she would often repeat the words out loud while looking at herself in the mirror. This practice is powerful because it fosters self-acceptance and boosts confidence. Tips to maximize results. Consistency is key. Helena's ritual was a daily practice without exceptions. She believed that, like any skill, reprogramming the mind requires continuous effort. Avoid distractions, keep your phone off, and choose times when you know you won't be interrupted. Adapt to your lifestyle. If you have a busy schedule, start with just 5 minutes a day and increase as you feel the need. The psychology behind the method. This process isn't just spiritual, it has a strong psychological foundation. Emotional anchoring, associating words with positive emotions, creates triggers that activate desirable emotional states, such as confidence and gratitude. Neural reinforcement. Daily repetition strengthens neural connections in the brain, establishing new thought patterns. Selective focus. By repeating words and visualizing positive scenarios, your brain trains itself to notice opportunities that might have previously gone unnoticed. A challenge for you. Here's a challenge. Practice this ritual for the next 7 nights before going to sleep. Repeat the 7 words. Visualize your ideal life and write in your notebook about how you felt. Then come back and share your results here. Remember, small, consistent changes have the power to create monumental transformations. Expanding the practice. In the next segment, we'll explore how you can expand these practices to other areas of your life: health, relationships, and purpose. Now that you know how Helena transformed her life and have learned the 7 words that can change your reality, one essential question remains. What will you do with this knowledge? Remember, the true power isn't just in the words, but in the consistent, intentional practice. It's the repetition, combined with emotion and belief, that creates the internal connections necessary to turn thoughts into actions and actions into results. To achieve this, you need to take the first step, not tomorrow, not next week, but today.